Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. My name is Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. I advise and empower women professionals, especially women veterans, to step up into their most authentic personal brand to gain and attract lucrative opportunities. And we are focusing on 4 areas: appearance, behaviors, communication skills, and digital presence. I am a professional keynote speaker, a certified image consultant, personal brand expert, and author of several books, but most importantly, a proud woman United States Air Force veteran. I served for 30 years, and now I have turned into your powerhouse entrepreneur. And one of the things that I launched was Slay to Success Talk Show. Now, on this talk show, y'all, I bring in men and women who are positively impacting the world by using the Slay philosophies. That's right. Slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym that stands for Universal Life and Leadership Philosophies that really resonate with me. And I know that they resonate with you too. And that is stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, and knowing you are built to last. So as you are coming into the show, please let us know where you're streaming in from. Give us your name so we can give you a shout out, because I know this conversation is going to be so good for everybody because everybody likes to eat. Okay. I don't know if anyone that's in this space that I'm in, okay, I have seen and met some of y'all at some really great restaurants, and really has had a great impact on the way that we connect. So we are going to be talking to an expert, y'all. You know how I do. I search high and I search low for the guest that really has this energy and this connectiveness where I can share with you who they are, what they do, how they are making positive impact, and I bring them here on this show. So as you come in again, please give us your name and where you're streaming in from, because you could be spending your time anywhere else, but you decided to come here on the Slay to Success Talk Show and spend your time with us, especially on Easter. So happy Easter to everybody, because I know that it is a holiday and some of y'all are still on spring break because, you know, these kids are still out. So you may be on vacay or whatnot, but I just know that you will come back for the replay if you can't make it with us tonight. So tonight, y'all, I have a Slay Amazing guest. Of course, I always have Slay Amazing guests. Her name is Dr. Michelle Beadle Holder, and she is a sociologist and wellness educator. She helps health conscious leaders shift from takeout to home cooking. Her work blends research with real life tools to make cooking easier and more meaningful. Dr. Holder believes food is more than fuel, it's a way to feel better, connect, and recover from stress. She is the founder of the lifestyle company Food at the Center. Through her programs and workshops, she helps people find joy, flow, and rhythm in the kitchen. Her approach is warm, practical, and deeply rooted in lived experience. And yes, everything that she put on here, y'all, is absolutely true. So please give a warm welcome to my guest, Dr. Michelle Beadle Holder. How are
Hi.
you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm good.
Good. I am so glad that you were able to be a guest on the show. So, y'all, you know, we met at a networking event. It was a breakfast, and y'all, we both had on pink. Okay, so I already knew like that was an instant connection for me. I was like, oh, she wearing pink? That's the sign. That's the first sign, right? But then after we talked, I was like, man, you would be perfect for the show because I have not had anyone, and it might have been like a long time ago that actually we're going to talk about this topic that we're going to be talking about today, which is FOOD. Okay. So, um, thank you so much. Oh, you're coming in from Alabama. Hey, Todd. This is my brother. in arms. He is here with us tonight. Thank you so much for visiting us. And, happy Resurrection Day. Happy Easter to you. Hey, Madame is in the building. Hey, Madame. Hey, Madame. I'm going to tell you right now, there is a connection between you and my guest, Dr. Holder. Okay. So just hold on and you will see. So happy Resurrection Sunday to you as well. And thank you so much for being here with us live tonight on the show. So how are you and what's going on?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. What's going on? I
Yeah.
just came back from my garden. So
Okay.
that's my first love. Before I went into
Oh,
the kitchen, it was me finding joy in the garden, growing herbs and
wow.
spices and vegetables and fruit, as much fruit as I can grow. And
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, y'all, we're going to have a very great conversation tonight. And y'all are just in the build. Y'all just showing up tonight. Okay. Okay. Yes. Happy Easter to you as well. Like I said, and Jeba is here. Happy Easter. And she's tuning in from Maryland. She is one of my sisters in arms as well. So we got some veterans and active duty members and those that support and those who are affiliated. Leslie is affiliated with the military as well. Her dad served in the military for quite some time. So um, tell us a little bit about who Dr. Michelle Holder is. I know you got two names, so it's like Beadle Holder. So tell us a little bit about who you are and, you know, give us a little bit of insight.
Who am I? Well,
Yeah.
I started food at the center because I love food, like you said, in all its facets. I grew up in Jamaica. That's where I was born,
Mhm.
and moved to the United States in the 1990s, uh, and went to school. I love studying. I like to read. I like to do all of that. I love books.
Okay.
And I was a health science professor. Then I left academia. My background is in medical sociology. Now I'm embracing the culinary anthropology part of it. But basically, it is how we look at culture, and it's we all live in culture, no matter where you are. A home has a culture, a company has a culture,
Yeah.
a group or and a society has many different cultures,
Oh, yeah.
and those cultures shape what we love, what we eat, how we interact and relate with food and each other.
Yeah.
And I think I part of why I was interested in food was because of it reminded me of home. And I I started planting vegetables and herbs while I was going through a divorce. I was in graduate school, and it was a really, really stressful time, a lot of transitions.
Oh, yeah.
And food was one of gardening. It started with gave me such relief and grounding and joy
Mm.
that uh, it really was a protective factor from stress for me.
Mm.
Stress while I was in graduate school, I was working out, I was and I was going through this major life change, and that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
We all go through, like, life is change, and
Yeah.
right now we're going through a very
Oh, yeah.
major change in our society
Yep.
and at work for many people, and it can feel unstable. It can feel uh like your nervous system is off whack, that you're in survival mode, and
Mhm.
oftentimes food is like the last thing that you think of, or
Mhm.
it's the thing that you go to when you're trying to cope.
Yeah.
And for me, it's, well, how can we leverage food? How can we use food in a way that supports our overall well-being, not just our bodies in terms of our physical health, but also our social and psychological health,
Yeah.
and do it in ways that um, bring us some joy.
Yeah. You know, I they know, like my audience, they know I'm going to go in deep
Mm,
because I'm a health and fitness enthusiast. I've always believed that food has been one of the factors for me that has allowed me to continue to exercise and to do the things that I am doing now in this next chapter. Like, I have so much energy, it's not even funny. And I really do think it's about the food choices that I have made. I'm not like eating healthy 100% all the time, but I try my best to at least 80%. And when you do, just the way that you show up is just different from when you're always eating junk food or food that does not give you the life, if you will, that you're really wanting. Because everybody likes to think that, okay, well, I want to be healthy, but then they don't understand what healthy choices really are, right? So I
mhm,
want to take us back just a little bit, because you said that there's several things, but the first one I want us to talk about is the reason why you left academia.
mm, mm. Why I
Mm,
left? Oh,
yeah.
um, there are many reasons why I left. I It wasn't the right place for me. I think, and
Mm.
when you get your PhD, at least that's how they train you. They train you to become a professor, to basically replicate themselves.
Oh,
It's a good thing. I mean, if
yeah,
it works for you, I still love to teach. Like, I
right.
really love to teach. I remember my mentor that encouraged me to pursue a doctorate. He said, "You like to learn." And he's like, if I had a school, I would hire you. And and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about a doctorate or anything like that." And he
Yeah.
would like call me doctor before I became a doctor, like when I was an undergrad. And I love to learn. Like I said, I love books. I like to learn. I'm someone that's really internal. Uh, and I got a lot of joy and fulfillment from being in academia until
Mm.
it was no longer joyful. It was no
Right.
longer, it was a life-sucking.
Oh.
It became more of a life-sucking experience, and, like, I left to save myself, and I
Mm.
had the support of my family, thankfully, and, I remember leaving. I remember going to a garden because I go to gardens to find grounding,
Mm.
uh, and like, like your inner self, like an inner voice. Some people call it God, so whatever you call it. And it was like I had been getting these inner prompts to follow food, like, and I was, but I was never thinking of it as like a career or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, and he said, "Leave this place and follow food." It was like pretty clear. Leave this place and follow food. And just to be transparent, I was having like a lot of and people experience these things a lot of right. I know right now people are going through like a lot of anxiety, a lot of
Mhm.
mental health stuff because it's not
Mhm.
safe. It doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel grounded. All of that. But there are many reasons why I left, and that was one. It was kind of soul crushing to be there, uh,
Yeah.
and thankfully I had a choice to leave, like, and I did.
Yeah.
I remember people saying, "You're courageous," and I was thinking, "I don't feel courageous right now," you know? Um, but that yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know if I answered your question.
Yeah, it does answer my question. I just wanted to you to share that with the audience, because I think it's important to understand the why. And, sometimes we do things that, doesn't make sense to others. They're like, man, you've got a well, like stable job. You mean you've got something that is you've probably been working for a very long time. Like, why would you leave this and go to your new path? There's a lot of things that people are in right now, and you're right, a lot of people are having to pivot. Okay, there's a lot of pivoting going on because they realize when you say they're not safe, they don't feel like there is a, 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 a great future for them where they're at. And so they're making decisions on whether or not they should stay or they should go, or they're being forced to go. So, you following your heart and saying, hey, I'm just going to go with food and see where that gets me. And it's been a great thing because, I mean, you started a garden. Like, I have no green thumb. Okay. My husband will tell you, if you bring in a cactus in here, it will die like within the first like 30 days because I won't water anything. We don't have any real plants in our house because I haven't killed too many plants. But I've always appreciated, people. We grew up with the garden. My mom gardened, she canned, she did all those things, and we had to learn how to do that. But I just never truly did it. But you found that it gave you joy and it gave you passion. And so I have a comment here too. First of all, Leslie says, hell for the island girls. Okay, the island gals are here. And so um, Todd says he changed to mostly organic and it changed his life.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, it is the foods that we are eating and the choices that we're making can really truly have an impact on our health. And you even said stress, like the
Mhm.
stress of not really being in control. And I
Mhm.
think one of the things that, we can do is start to look at food and control the decisions that we are making when it comes to food. So tell us a little bit about this garden love that you have. Like, how did this happen? Like, were you always in the garden when you were younger? Did you always have a garden everywhere you went? And
Mhm.
what kind of plants are you growing in your garden?
Okay. I as I don't know what happened. I wanted a garden. I always grew up in a garden. So in Jamaica and many, like, if you grew up in a rural area, gardening is like life,
Right.
right? And so everyone had a garden. It's normal. That was part of the way that you fed yourself. You weren't completely reliant on a supermarket or grocery store. That people had trees, they had little things that in their backyards that they grew, and it came out of like what is it? I can't remember the term, but I want to say ration, but it's not ration. But they had like their gardens, provision plots. They call it like that, provision
Mm,
plot. And hi, and so
I know, right? I was like, "Hi, MD." I'm not even going to pronounce your last name because I don't know what it truly is supposed to say. So I'm gonna say, "Hi, MD."
yeah, and I had well, yeah, so we grew up with gardens, and I love being in nature. I've always loved being in nature. We were free to go and roam. No one followed us. We were just free. And once I left that relationship and was starting a new chapter in my life, it was a garden style apartment, and they so happened to have like these community garden plots in the garden in the
Oh.
apartment area. And so the woman who took us in, like, do the whole application, she said, "Oh, would you like a plot?" And I was like, "Yes." So I got one. And in the process of before the spring, I started to visit different nurseries around where I live. So I went to University of Maryland, and they had
Mhm.
like various College Park. They had various gardens, nurseries there.
Yeah.
And I remember going in and walking to the herb section and just was so fascinated because I remember smelling the thyme that was
Mhm.
there. Like thyme is a very it's one of those staple herbs in I know Caribbean food, I know Jamaican food in particular. Everything has we put it in everything.
Yeah.
And so I had uh an oral memory of being in my with my mom at the at the market,
Mm-hmm.
and just being transported back to Jamaica. And I was like, oh my gosh, just the smell of it. The smell's connected to memory.
Yeah.
And I noticed that they had like 10 million, like it felt like 10 million kinds of time. They had silver time, they had variegated yellow time, they had French time, they had English time, and I got all the time. Okay, I was like, I'm getting all of them, and other herbs, and I started to grow them on my kitchen windowsill. Now I had these herbs, and eventually I started to plant vegetables. So I have all these
Mm.
produce. What do you do with them? I had to cook them.
Wow.
And I started to cook, and that's when first made jerk chicken. I normally would make other things, but I had all these herbs and spices. I started to blend with them, and right now in my family, I'm the go-to person. Now, more people who know me, they'll
Yeah.
ask me, "What's this herb? Or what's this plant? Or what is this vegetable? What's this fruit?" And I'll tell you, 99.9% of the time, I know what it is. And so it was me learning different ingredients, and
Yeah.
then as an extension, learning how to prepare them at home.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, y'all, I am not that person. I'm not that woman who's like got the recipes and I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking up stuff. My husband does more cooking than I do.
Mhm.
And so he's the one who's always putting in spices and, making everything taste really, really great. But what I really do appreciate is the fact that you're growing your own food, you're cooking and preparing your own food, and now you're teaching other people to do just that.
Mm.
And so, having a cooking show, if you will, or a place where people come and they're making food with you, can you tell us a little bit about how that started and, like give us like the journey of that?
Oh, okay. The cooking show started during COVID. My mom loves to
Mm.
cook. Actually, if people ask me, "So who's the cook in the family?" I show them to my mother, not me, even though I'm a pretty good cook, even still to this day, and that's in part because of how I grew up. I'm the first girl in my family, and um, at least for my mother, I'm the first girl, and I'm a twin. I have a twin brother.
Oh.
And so the way we learned, like my dad taught us to cook, or at least I'll claim my dad taught me how to cook. And it was kind of like a gender expectation in a way that
Mm.
that you need to learn how to cook in order to feed your husband and your future kids. It's a skill that you need to learn. They were very, very supportive of me um, academically, and I. But my dad also wanted me to learn domestic skills.
Mm.
And I wasn't having none of that. I was like, I plan to marry a chef.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I need this skill. No, thank you.
No, thank
But
you.
my dad was he was a police officer. So like that type
Oh.
of background. It was not a question or an accent. It was like that's a command. So
Mm-hmm.
but so that early experience with cooking created some, I would say, some wound
Mm-hmm.
that made me not embrace it. Uh,
Mm.
and so when COVID happened, I was like, oh, mommy, can you teach me how to make this or that? And because she worked so much, my mom worked 2 or 3 jobs. Since I was the oldest, I was helping to take care of the younger ones. Um, and I didn't learn a lot from her in that way. So over COVID, she taught me a few of the traditional dishes, and I love stories. So she tells me whenever my mom's in the kitchen, I learn about the family history and all of that. So that's how we bond. And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you should offer the classes. because in my head, I am still an academic and I'm still like loving to write and do research. I'm not really in the kitchen that much wanting to teach people.
Yeah.
But so I was like, my mom will help me. And she was happy to help me. And through the process, I realized like, oh, I kind of I could take the lead now, right? So
Yeah.
I have this idea of like there are different kinds of cooks. So you talk about your husband being the main one. There are
Yeah.
different kinds of cooks. There is the sideline cook, the person who kind of likes being in the kitchen, watching, tasting, maybe even helping out with the various tasks that cooking entails, the shopping, the planning. It's a lot of logistics. It's a big project.
Yeah.
And most people, when you're good at it, when you're good at something, people think it's easy, but there's a lot of in behind the scenes knowledge and skills. Some people are on the side and others take the lead. And you can sit on the side observing and learning. And in the process, eventually, if you feel like you want to take the lead. And I wanted to take more of the lead. Uh, and then, it made me start to think about various my own journey. I was a reluctant cook, right? At one point.
Hmm.
There's a study by Gallup that talks about the connection between cooking and well-being, and they say they found that the people that do cook, even if they're busy, tend to have a greater sense of social psychological well-being, and even eating a meal together
Yeah.
increases your level of happiness. Uh, so yeah, I was thinking, but there's one group that we don't really talk about. It's the reluctant cook, and you might cook but not enjoy it. And that was me. You know, enjoy it. And then there's some gender expectations like, I should be the cook in the family. I'm the woman. And there can be, depending on the culture, right, of the family
Yeah.
or where you came from, there can be some level of stronghold, like expectations and guilt, shame around cooking. And I was just like, no one's gonna force me to do it.
Yeah.
But I discovered that I really love cooking because the creativity part of it appealed to me. And then once I started to notice, so I went from reluctant to really a joyous cook, from sideline to the lead. And then through life, you go through busy parts of your life, but many people out there, working professionals, busy, you're a caretaker, busy.
Yeah.
Um, and that's one of the main reasons I hear people say they don't want to be in the kitchen. I'm just busy. I don't have the time, right?
Yeah.
And it just takes too much time. By the time I come home from work, I'm mentally fatigued. I'm physically fatigued. The last thing I want to do is to think about cooking any meal. And so I'm just going to go ahead and order takeout.
Yeah.
And it's convenient, right?
Yeah.
I think humans are really smart.
Yeah.
There's this book that I read that really resonated with me, and it's called Catching Fire, and the author argues that uh, what made us human was cooking. One of the things that made us human was cooking because um, we by preparing our food, by heating our food, it makes it much more readily available for us to consume more calories. Our brains get bigger, our stomachs get smaller, and when we have bigger brains, right, we can think of
Oh.
solutions to problems. And so takeout is a solution to a problem.
Yeah.
Time
Yeah.
and leisure.
Yeah.
Once you get off work, you want to just kick your feet up and relax.
You
You
sure
don't have
do.
to
Listen, I know this because I don't do a lot of takeout. We don't take out a lot for
think.
us. We do believe in cooking. Again, my husband cooks most of the meals. But around in our neighborhood, these folks is always in the neighborhood. Grubhub, uh, DoorDash, you name it, they're up and down these streets, and you see like there's more and more of that choice or that route
Mhm.
of, hey, it's convenient, we can get it here quickly, we don't have to clean up per se, just throw
Right.
it in the trash, and
Yeah.
then we can have time to do whatever we want to do, which is mostly probably, and I'd hate to say, but scrolling and watching TV. So
And watching somebody else cook, like
yeah,
watching, like you
exactly.
said, a lot of gratification, like cooking. It's a transformation. You see somebody with raw ingredients and they put it together. We've learned to see cooking as a form of entertainment and leisure, and that's in part because of like the cooking shows, like
Yep.
what's the guy that would say "bam" or whatever, like he can't remember, it's from Louisiana area, and
Yeah.
they would have like entertainment. So food is entertainment,
Yeah.
cooking is entertainment, and so you can sit on the sidelines and get um some of like the dopamine
Yeah.
hit
Yeah.
from it, and also you develop a habit of takeout.
Yeah.
It's easy, right?
It's very easy.
You're hungry from a long day at work, or you may even have time,
Hmm.
not, you know, and you have ingredients in the fridge, but you're like, it's effort, right? And it's less effort to get your phone, put in the order, take out the app and order something, and before you know it, something's at the door,
Yeah.
in 30 or whatever minutes.
And COVID made that very convenient. I
Yes.
mean, so now that, I mean, it's just now going to continue on, and I'm sure it's going to get even worse, as the days go, because, there's a lot of people who are just deciding why even bother, why even bother to cook, because the price of food has gotten high,
Yes.
so here we
And
are
so has
again.
takeout, yes. But
Exactly.
takeout
So
can end up being, so we talk about the cost.
yeah.
There are many ways to look at cost. There's
Yeah.
the immediate cost, like monetary cost. So I did something at home recently, like in January, I did like a takeout audit. And basically what I did was, my husband and I, we kind of went through what our takeout orders have been for the year. So pull out like Grubhub, Uber Eats, or whatever, and you can just look, or your credit card statements or whatever, and see how much you're ordering. Because you might be thinking, I'm not ordering that much, but when you look at the numbers, do not lie.
They don't.
They do
Who
not lie.
says that? There's a doctor that actually says that all the time on one of these TV shows. He says numbers don't lie, and I'm like, "Yep, you're right.
I
You're
mean,
right."
it depends if you're calculating, they can make it lie. But uh
Yeah,
when you look, I said, okay, let's look at how frequently, like over the year, how much are we ordering? Like, how often did we order takeout? And you don't have to do it for a whole year. You can do it for a week or a month, like track it. And then the other thing that we did, or that I did, was to look at what was I ordering frequently. And then I was shocked. We were doing more burgers and fries because that's a
mm,
comfort food.
yeah,
Burgers and fries. And then the other thing that we were doing, then I looked at, okay, what's the nutritional gap? So before that was like, how much are we spending? You know, because cost is like a big thing. And there were months, like the early months, January, February, March, we're doing good. But by the time we get to like October, November, December, we doing not great,
yeah,
hundreds of dollars ordering takeout. And I was kind of shocked by that because I was like, wow. So the audit includes, how frequently am I ordering takeout? How much am I spending a month, a week? Look at the numbers. Then the other is, what am I ordering most frequently? That gives you more information. No judgment. You're just collecting data.
yeah.
Uh, the other thing was, what's nutrition? Is there a nutritional gap like with the food? So I started to look at many restaurants have the nutritional information of whatever food you order, or you can
Mhm.
get like a fit something, like some app that gives you the calculation.
Yeah.
And I looked at like, all right, am I having enough fiber in my food? Fiber means normally means vegetables, right?
Mhm.
Is or fruit. How much sodium is in this food? Because a lot of restaurants or commercial kitchens, they rely heavily on salt because it tastes good, it's cheap, and most people like salt. And I was like shocked when I looked at, I like Famous Dave's. We like Dave's, and I was just like, "Oh my god, the sodium is ridiculous
Yeah.
in this."
You know, leave out there swollen, swollen hands, swollen feet, because it is true. I mean, when you say that they put the salt, that's what they do to add the flavor on there.
Yes,
So, people don't really count that into the equation. And you're right, you have to look at the nutritional
labels. Mhm,
labels and look to see how the percentage of the food that you're consuming and what is it exactly you're consuming. So I have several comments here,
okay.
Michelle, that I want us to talk through. So this is from Todd, and he said, "This is awesome. Need to send my daughter the replay. My oldest daughter, who is 28, was a corporate accountant and loves to grow and prepare her own food for years. She joined an internship last year and was part of a large community garden project. She left her corporate job early this year and is now a finance manager for a nonprofit that educates the community on healthy food and sustainable agriculture. He's
Mm,
in Alabama because she bought a home in an older community and is opening up a and he'll probably come back and finish that. But
mhm.
wow. You
Yeah,
know what? That's so like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
Returning to the way that we used to live, like,
Yeah.
and
And then we have one
it's
more.
mhm,
One more. Um, so first of all, thank y'all for being here. We had Karen dropping into here. So Karen, thank you so much before I pass by your comment here. But here's Dr. X. Hey, Dr. X, thank you so much for being here tonight live with us. He's like, meal prep on Sundays for lunch and dinner is a game changer.
mhm,
And I agree with this like 1,001%. So my husband is cooking right now, y'all. Okay. He does this every Sunday. He cooks all of the meals for the week. And it's been for us one of the things that it's because we have the food, it really like makes you think about getting food as for takeout, right? Like when you
mhm,
have food already prepared in your refrigerator. Is we have a 15-year-old son too, and sometimes he'd be like, "Oh, we could just go get something to eat." I'm like, "No, we have food at the house. We
mhm,
have food at the house. We are eating this food up." Okay.
mhm,
So I mean, it is, and it changes the way that you kind of look at that. But I agree with you when you also were sharing that, we as humans sometimes think, like easier is better.
mhm,
You know what I mean? So and I don't think that's, it's just because it's easy to get takeout doesn't mean that it's better at all. It said it cut him off. Okay.
mhm.
She is opening her own community garden.
Oh, great, that's lovely.
Yeah.
One of
And
my
he said he would like to connect you with his
Oh,
daughter.
absolutely. Yes,
Yes.
yeah, so I should yeah, my information, foodatthecenter.com, you can find me there, and
What
I
is it
the list
again?
foodatthecenter.com
Food
or,
at the center dot. Is the food at symbol? Oh,
no,
at the center.
at thecenter.com.
I'll just
My
put in
email
the
is on their website.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll just put
I
in
would
the
love to
comment
connect.
section here and he can pass it on to his daughter. Or when she comes back for replay and listens to it, she can also have it here too. So
Yeah, Yeah. But yeah, Sunday meal prep is I do that. It's a part of my rhythm, right? Uh and it's it's not for everyone. You can't
Yeah,
I wouldn't say jump if you're getting off of takeout, I wouldn't say every Sunday do, meal prep. But if you have been meal prepping all along, you might want to increase it, bit by bit so that it's sustainable and you don't burn out. Because
yeah,
the all or nothing approach is can also discourage you, and you may be less inclined to start again
yeah,
if you felt like, oh man, I just can't get it right. So there are people who are definitely great at cooking, and I say go ahead and you enjoy being in the kitchen, or you like being efficient, or you like saving money, or you like whatever your reason is. Say, yeah, kudos to you for doing it every Sunday. Um,
yeah.
I think having a rhythm, that 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 habit, that routine
Hmm.
also helps you to stay on track. Just like takeout is really easy. We have a habit of doing it.
Hmm.
Cooking you can also start to develop a habit of cooking, and before you know it, you're something feels like it's missing if you're not in the kitchen on Sunday, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's kind of how the brain works. At first, when you're learning a new behavior, it's a lot of brain power. They say like
Yes.
the brain is 2% of our body mass, and it requires 20% of energy. And if you're working and doing a whole lot of other things, jumping in and going all at once might be a setup for failure, because
Yeah.
your brain is like, look, wait, I'm like, you overtaxing me.
That's This is for what you're saying is for anything that's new that you're
Yes,
trying to start out, right? It's just like if you're trying to lose weight
right.
and you try to change your behavior, if you're trying to stop, spending so much money, it's just a whole lot of ways that we know that you're just like, oh no, I can't do this, and you revert back to what you've already known. So yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Like
Mm.
things all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm motivated by some people are motivated by like pain. Others are motivated by joy. I'm motivated by joy. Okay. So I
Wow. Yeah. I think that's so true.
so I
Pain or joy, huh?
like some people are motivated by pain. Like I don't want to lose limbs because I have diabetes is part of like or I don't want to die of a heart attack. Like that's a pain. Like a fear,
That's true.
right? It's
Yeah.
real. I
Yeah.
mean, part of why I started to blend spices, because salt-free spices, because I grew up in a family with high blood pressure. It's a big issue.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
And ours too.
coming up with solutions that still, so I say I'm driven by pleasure and joy. I want my health journey to be something I look forward to, not something I
Mm.
dread and I'm
Yeah.
cringing, I'm bearing. Like that's not sustainable for me. So if I think of what's the reward, what are the rewards for cooking?
Mm.
What are the like low, like friction points, like and high reward for cooking? It is like making. So I brought some stuff. Once you
Yes.
start,
She's
once
got
you,
some stuff, y'all. We're
I
going to
brought some
see what
stuff.
she got
So
for us today.
right. This is for someone who's just kind of starting out, and for other people, you may get a tip if you're like an expert cook. You're not a
Yeah.
novice. So you're at your desk, and I used to work through lunch, I still kind of do, work through lunch, work through meals. You have back-to-back meetings,
Yep.
and it's like before you know it, you're starving, you have a headache, your stomach is hurting, you're lightheaded, um, you're feeling like nervous, you're probably like your blood sugar level has dropped, right?
Yep.
You're like,
Yep.
I'm in emergency mode. How can I get out of emergency mode? So one of the things that if you're in your office, what can you do to eat something really quick and easy? And this is what I call, it's a form of cooking, but you call it assembly cooking. We don't have, some of the stuff is already prepared, or
Yeah.
nature has baked it in its sun and it's now ripe. Okay. So if you like avocado, I brought a little, like they had these little
I
avocados.
love
They're expensive
avocados.
nowadays, Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
avocado, and I'll have it, you can have it at your desk. Grab like one of these things, right? These takeout things.
Which
Open
there
it
are
up.
plenty of them hanging around somewhere.
Exactly. Open it up and cut it open. I can even cut it open right now. Cut it open, and what you can do is, I cut it open because I'm gonna eat it later. So this is high in fat, like natural fat. Now this little thing here, and it's
But,
nature's convenient food. This is nature's convenient food, right? So open it
mm,
up. Look how beautiful it is. I
that
get
is
to appreciate the
so
color.
good.
And then I just grab one of my little spice packets. Like I said, I have spice packets, and I like sprinkle some spice on the avocado.
Oh,
And this is low sodium spice. So if you wanted to add a little bit more,
yeah.
um,
That looks so
yeah.
good.
And then I'll just like, this is a, how long did that take me? And then I just spoon it out with my spoon. Oh, might need a more stable spoon, but it works.
Yeah.
And
Voila.
that's it. Add some salt and pepper if you need it. You can even have like a tuna salad that you pair with this. It's quick energy. You're done. You can
Love
make a
it.
toast. You know, say I bring my bread. I don't
Yeah.
have like real, but I have a English muffin.
Yeah.
Open it up. You can like spread it and make a avocado toast, right? That's, it's kind of, you're using skills that are essential for cooking. It's not just at the
Mm,
stove that you're preparing a meal. It's part of meal preparation, and you're learning how to use flavor. Like you're learning how to balance flavor. So I could eat the avocado like this. It's still really delicious. But if I wanted to tweak the, adjust the flavor, I just add my favorite herb spice blend. Um, another another tip I have. So they have these little packets. Like they'll have like beans. They're kind of expensive, but if you're in a pinch, like something that you keep in your drawer at the desk, or you keep in your car when you're on the mobile running
yeah.
around, this is non-perishable, right? And
Yeah.
like you gonna have to eat your avocado. Don't let it go
Right. You
bad,
have to eat
right?
that for
You gotta
sure.
eat that.
Yeah.
So you have this it's emergency food. And
Mm,
they have like low sodium, like tuna in a package, or salmon in a packet. This is just bean, plant free. You could just have, where's my little thing that I had? I
what
haven't
is
used
that?
it.
Is that like
Black
a,
bean,
oh, black beans?
black beans. Um,
Oh,
I had a little thing in here. I don't know where it went. But like you have like, pretend that my hands are like a little bowl.
yeah.
Right? My hands are a little bowl. I throw them in there,
Yeah.
and you could use salt, pepper. Like, remember, this is survival. Remember, you're in the military, so y'all know
Yeah, listen.
rations.
When
Okay.
you pulled that out, I was like, wait a minute now, because we had these MREs when we were in the military. They were just like that. It was like emergencies, but you eat them, and they had 1,001 calories in each one of these MREs that we had. And
Yeah,
it was like, it wasn't as great as
it's
people
not. It's
say.
a
He had some pieces in there, like a pound cake and a brownie or whatever, and it was like 1,001 calories, like I said. But anyway, um, but
but
you're
this is
saying like if
emergency.
it's an
This
emergency
is
and you
not
need
what you
to,
live on, okay?
yeah, right. Just saying, like, listen, y'all, that and please make sure we have these bowls and these utensils. Maybe you need a little emergency kit in your car that you can
And
just like pull out
yeah,
of your trunk or something, just in case. But um, the whole point of what you're sharing though is you're reaching for, items that are,
mhm,
available to eat, that are healthier choices, as
right.
opposed to just going to McDonald's, going to Burger King or any of these fast food restaurants and not getting nutritional value that you need for your brain to
Mhm.
operate, and
Exactly.
yeah, and Tim says, "Oh yes, we still are eating the MREs." Oh no, Tim. Listen, when you come to retired life, we not eating no MREs. All right. I didn't took that and said, no, I can't do that no more. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those are just like emergency tips, but like, so I said I'm motivated by pleasure, by
Yeah.
joy. And think about the things that are enjoyable for you with cooking. If you're similar to me,
Yeah.
if you're someone like that's really efficient and you like speed and you like order, and maybe being in your kitchen can be a way to express that part of yourself. If you are someone who likes to like leisure and it, you want to reset and you want calm and peace of mind. Maybe the kitchen could be like an expression, pretty colors, your favorite mug, like lighting a candle, making it a ritual, to
Yeah.
get into your flow, to be like, okay, I worked, I gave these people all of me, my
Mm.
mind power, my physical, everything. Now
Everything.
this time is my time, and the
Yeah.
kitchen is what better place to do that, because you're nourishing your body physically. We know that not only physically, certain foods that you eat can make you have mental clarity.
Hmm.
It can improve your mood.
Yeah.
uh and so it's not just about the calories. It's so much more.
Yeah. I again, this conversation is needed. And I agree that, we need to think about, like, I know for us, we think about the long game, like the long game into how we want to feel and how we want our quality of life. Like
Yes.
quality of life is huge
Yes.
because, when you get to a certain age, and I've said this many times here, that I am 52 years old. And so when you get to a certain age, things start shifting. All
Mhm.
right. You're not as like spry as you were when you were younger. But when I tell y'all that, when we whatever we put in our bodies, it really shows up. Because I've seen my peers and some of that have retired, and their health is not as great as they would like it to be because of the food that they're consuming, the environmental factors as well, and the stress and
Mhm.
all the other things that can compound. So why not control something, which is what we are consuming and putting into our bodies?
Mhm.
And I think, cooking your own food and what you have shared with us is it's so important. It is a skill. Again, I don't have the skills like I would like it for, but you give me some ways to, get back to, hey, you know what? I might want to appreciate being in the kitchen a little bit more, and cooking my food and not waiting for my husband to cook the food. So I mean, but he enjoys it. He absolutely enjoys it. I just have to do the cleanup, y'all. So
Well, that's a role. That's a role. You are
it is a
making it
role.
so much. I mean, that's also one of the main pain points for people who don't cook. Like, they
Mhm.
may love to cook, but if they gotta clean up too, that's extra work.
It
And so
is.
you are playing a really important role for your family, and, I'm sure more than cleaning up. So, honor that. I would say honor that, because that's teamwork. And,
Mhm.
military, you know how to work as a team, and
Yeah.
not everyone is gonna be in the same post. So, if you have something that's working, um, do it.
Yeah,
He has a different skill set. He enjoys it. You
he
probably like
does.
cleaning up too. Like, if you enjoy cleaning up, like, that's part of the flow.
It is. It really is. I mean, we don't mind it at all, but you're right. When you have people that are contributing,
Yes.
instead of doing the whole thing all the time, I could see where that could become like this is more of a chore and this is
Mhm.
more of I just have to do it and it doesn't bring you any kind of happiness, whatever, it's like I just have to I have to just do this, and sometimes the food shows up to it. And so, the other thing that before, because we're getting ready to get to the top of the hour. And I already knew this as we were coming in here that this was going to happen. But, um, the other thing that I do know is the people that actually love to cook, they put heart into their cooking. The people that have to do the cooking, what it happens to be is just they just throw the stuff together and then it tastes horrible. Okay. Because I have been into some places where I'm just like, y'all just want a pan of whatever and you don't really make it into that because you didn't want to do it, but the people who actually do, the food tastes so much better. So much better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, as we come to the top of the hour, and thank you all for being here and hanging out with us tonight live on the show. And, for those that have come back for the replay, as you come in and you putting in your comments, this is a really great conversation about just getting back to the basics, of preparing your own food. And, Dr. Michelle Holder has been here and she has just been talking us through this. She has her own cooking show where she brings in people and you could follow her making a particular meal. And she'll send you the ingredients and then you guys get on the show and you guys cook together, which I think that is so great. I think when's your next show?
We have one coming up on Sunday. So for those who like to prep on Sunday, we're going to be doing jerk salmon and
Mm,
black bean salad with with some tropical fruits and stuff, and it's so good.
wow.
And it's summertime. It's really easy. We're going to be in and out under an hour because
Ooh,
we're going to be talking. We're going to go back and forth. Um, but this dish can be made in under 30 minutes if you're in your kitchen by yourself. But
wow. So they can go to the food at the
put at
center
thecenter.com
dot com.
and you'll see like virtual cooking classes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or going to the shop area. And we'll also have spices. There's salt-free spices. And if you want something more like customizable, you can send me an email and we can work something out.
that's awesome. Wow. Well, thank you so much for all of the information that you were sharing with us tonight. Now,
Mm.
is there anything that you want to share with the audience before we say goodbye to all our friends?
I would say give cooking another look. I think it's
Mm,
been stigmatized in many ways by our society, to say that it's a chore, but to look at the ways that it may not be a chore. If there's something, some element, and like I said, you don't have to be the one preparing the meal at the stove, but there's so many from the planning to the cleanup. If there is something is in that process of cooking that you can contribute to your family or to your friends or who our loved ones, um, give it a second look because cooking is power,
mm.
cooking is joy, cooking is connection, uh, and cooking is love.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely do. And Leslie does too. She says, this was amazing. You have made me think about cooking in a different way.
Oh,
I said,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
think you have too. Like, for me, again, as one of the people that would be like the reluctant person, um, you know, I had now can see what my role has been for
Yeah,
a very long time.
yeah.
And it makes me feel a little bit more helpful
Yeah.
Throughout this whole, because sometimes I just like, okay, I'll just go and clean the dishes, but he's got all the food out there. I'm like, okay, so we all have a role to play, and we
Yeah.
can play different roles in it. So I think that is so great for us to point out, and so thank you so much for that too. So my last question before we leave, y'all, for you, and I ask every guest that I have here on this show, is I'm taking steps right now every day, with what I'm doing in my business, and what I have done in my past to really create a legacy, that I could look back on my 80th birthday, which is God willing, get there and say, you know what, if my family and friends were going to say something about me, I really have some concrete, some very um, uh, specific words that I want them to be saying about me.
Mm.
So I'm going to be asking you the same question. So,
Mm.
you know, it's your 80th birthday, Queen. So, at your 80th birthday, what do you want your family and friends to say about you?
Mm. So interesting that you asked that question because when I was thinking about from takeout to home cooking, I wanted it to be like for a legacy for generations to come, to build a legacy for generations to come. And I don't
Mm.
get to say what that legacy is. I would want it to be more joy.
Yeah. Joy for sure. Okay, yes.
I would want it to be more joy and fulfillment in their life, that in even the most humble of dishes, that makes your heart warm, and it and people talk about that thing for generations, even after you're gone. And I
Mhm.
think that I haven't always appreciated cooking. I it I downplay its power, and that's because of
Mm.
the society that we live in. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, that's if I on my 80th birthday, it would be so that people can feel more calm and peace in life.
Mm.
Someone A few people have told me that when they're around me, they feel peaceful.
Mhm.
This might be just me, my aura and who I am, just who
Yeah.
I am. And so I would want people to have inner peace.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I felt that immediately when we met. So that they got that right, and they're gonna get it right, at your 80th birthday party too. So thank you for sharing. And the guests that we had here tonight on the show. So we had Todd, Leslie, Jeba, MD, Dr. Bruce, Xavier Bruce, Dr. X. I call him Dr. X. We had Tim, Karen, Chevy. Thank
Mm.
y'all for being here live with us tonight. Either you dropped in for a hot second and then you had to go and do something else, but we really appreciate you being here. And for those that come back to the replay, again, we thank you so much for listening in on us. Um,
Well,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
One thing, you can follow me on Instagram or at Michelle Beadle Holder. Like that's more so Arlington.
Yes.
If you want to stay connected mostly. So yes, I forgot to
Yes,
mention that.
please, 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 y'all. Go, the most trusted platform that I'm on is LinkedIn. All
Yeah,
right. So
LinkedIn.
get in there on LinkedIn, follow her. You can go to Instagram as well. But please, let's keep food, this cooking, concept alive and well. All right. So maybe you want to change something this week, and just pick something, just one thing. You don't have to do a whole lot of overhaul. And tell us how you doing. Okay, with
Yes.
that, give her a note and a shout out on LinkedIn or Instagram. Let her know, hey, I took some of your advice and this is what I did. So next week, y'all, I think we have a guest. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what the dates are here. Yeah, so we got April 27th. Yes. So we have another Slay Amazing guest next weekend, which is next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, or you can find me again on the Rise and Slay show. And that's on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So as we know, at this show, this is the end of the week, the beginning of the new week. Have a slay amazing week and keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. And we'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.